did that really just happen? So I looked at her and I was like, oh, sorry. I was like, my husband challenged me to make dinner under $25 tonight or something. And she looked at me and she was like, oh. And I was like,
Like she. Because like it was actually going, but the red hadn't showed up yet. So now the actual red.
He's over here hitting buttons.
Yeah. So when you actually sit and you have a pod, it reminds me of that show we just watched, The Food Stars. And
I thought you were going to talk about what? Oh my gosh, I can't even believe you
I thought you were making fun of me because I'm like stuttering a little bit.
I was, but I thought you were going to talk about Sing 2, the big fat pig or whatever that's like beep boop boop beep boop.
Beep, boop, boop.
Yeah,
I do that occasionally. Yeah. But no, we have a little clock here because sometimes when you're sitting and you're talking and you have no idea. Like we can sit there and time flies because we're just having a good time and just chit-chatting away. And next thing you know, it's
we're out of time.
Been 45 minutes. And then sometimes we're sitting there, we're like, man, it's been forever. And it's like 2 minutes have passed.
We're like, we got nothing
should be
for you
over.
people
We got
today.
nothing for you. But we have a little clock and it has a little red thing that fills up so we can see it.
He was hitting.
I was hitting those. So if you saw me hitting buttons.
Yes. But we hope
video.
Everybody had an amazing Father's Day weekend.
Yeah, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
Yes. We talked about how I got my dad a brand new wood fire pizza oven, but we actually put it to use.
Yes, we did.
I will say, and I don't even know if my dad knows this, but you were like, I don't know if that's a good present. I'm not sure. And I was like.
First of all, I made, there are not, first of all, I'm 99.9% right all the time.
Oh my gosh.
And occasionally that 0.1% shows up. And in this case here, the pizza oven fall into 1.9 because I actually thought that's not. And
he's a very good gift giver.
I am an amazing.
He's
gift
very
giver.
thoughtful. Both presents and experiences. I will give it to you. But this time he's been very busy with work, and he's been really good, particularly with my dad because he gets like the manly gifts.
I get like manly gifts.
Like we did. He literally got him like an entire deer feeder. It's like a whole story.
Deer feeder.
Yes. That my parents live like on a preserve, and my dad had this deer feeder out there for years that he was obsessed with. Like we were like buying deer feed. It was the most exciting thing of our entire weeks. He was sending video footage.
No. He had a trail cam, and
that's right.
And it was like he was sending pictures, and Dad loves nature, right? He loves getting pictures of nature, likes participating.
He's gonna be a photographer on National Geographic.
Yeah, and so he had this trail cam set up, and I was like, you know what, the ultimate gift.
He was like, let's get some action.
I was like, let's get some action, and I got him this.
Deer feeder.
Yes, that
with
put
salt
corn
licks.
out and a salt lick and everything. Anyway, it exploded. There were some deer out there, hogs.
But it literally turned into like, okay, now we need to build a cage to keep the squirrels out. Okay, now we need to put spikes on the cage.
Yeah,
like
put
it
spikes
was like
on the cage to keep the squirrel. It was like an adventure.
It was.
But the problem is, and you say this all the time, it's like rode the best roller coaster first. And it's like,
he always does that.
It's like that was like one of the first gifts I gave your dad, and
I know.
It was like the best gift ever. And so
it lasted for a long time. I know.
And then it's
we
like,
tried
how do you
with the
compete
bird
with
buddy,
that?
but I'm not gonna lie, like birds really, they're not doing much.
We
with
did
the
get
bird
him a
buddy.
bird buddy last year, and we finally got an amazing shot that he shared.
Yeah, we got one.
We should actually ask him. We know he's listening, so Dad, can you go ahead and send us?
We want more bird pics.
More bird pics, and see if that thing's working.
This pizza oven was awesome because. Well, first of all, they really dove
Whoa. Let me stop you real quick. Okay. The reason why I was like unsure if it was a great gift.
He's got to defend himself here.
Is because you've been talking about building a wood fire pizza oven. So I kind of felt like it was like fulfilling one of your dreams. And so I was like, hey.
We talk about experiences, and I thought this could be really fun because my dad loves grilled pizza.
He loves grilled pizza.
He absolutely loves grilled pizza, which we used to do on the barbecue
I can see
grill.
the connection. I can see the connection.
Anyway, he was like, it's a chintzy little machine. He wasn't like super impressed with the idea of it, But I did it anyway. And my dad, when he opened it, was so excited. And
He was so
Chris
excited.
totally took credit.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. We're like sitting there opening it, and he's
Right.
going, "Oh, isn't it amazing? I'm so glad you love it." And I'm looking at Chris.
I don't think I did that.
Oh my! He may have been 1 or 2 rums in that night, but he took all the credit.
I don't think I took the credit, but here's the thing. When we fired this thing up,
Well, they had to burn it up. They got it
I'm an
seasoned.
engineer,
I know.
and when something
know.
engineering magical happens, like I get impressed. Like I start geeking out, and like I was blown away at how well this little pizza oven heated with a few little pieces of wood.
I know.
I couldn't get over it.
I know. It was pretty amazing.
It was
and just
magical.
To see the fire behind it. It was so exciting. But what's interesting is I did post a couple of things on Instagram with the pizzas. And like all of my friends were like, teach me your dough ways. I need to know how you do the dough. We went out to dinner with friends last night and they were like, we've tried that. How do you do the dough? And
How do you do the dough?
these
That is
pizza
the hardest
makers,
part.
they make it look so easy. And it was funny because my dad made the first pizza, obviously. He had to christen the grill. And my mom's watching him and she was like, no, you got to do it like this. You got to do it like that. Blah, blah, blah. And 2 seconds later, she was doing it. And she was like, this is a lot harder than it looks.
It is a lot harder.
And you, of course, he always has to be different. So Chris made like, a Detroit style deep dish in this little uni. And
Yeah, like rolled up the side. Because you guys were doing more like what I would call like flatbread. Like you were just.
It was a pizza.
There was no
Wasn't it?
defined
It was-
crust.
Well, and yours was like,
Super crust.
there was no in between.
I went totally Chicago deep
This
dish,
is,
like you
I
said.
know. He goes so above and beyond. This one time, Food Network was doing a burger competition where you could win $10,000, and I was so
Yeah.
excited. I was like, we need to have. You had to use half mushrooms and half ground beef.
Yes.
And of course, I put dusted on mine and submitted it, which is the burger steak seasoning that Chris created, but. With that being said, he was like, I'm going to make my mushroom burger in the shape of, what was it, an alien? A spaceship? Do you remember this?
I do remember that.
And it was so, he put toothpicks all over it. He was like, I'm going to have onions that look like UFOs coming down to the burger earth. And I was just like,
part of it's just like the pictures and the contest, and people want to see something unique. And
but dude, your pictures looked nothing like what was in your
the
mind.
question, you're right, it was horrible.
My pictures were gorgeous, honestly.
Your pictures ended up gorgeous.
Yes.
And we submitted it, and we never heard back.
I know.
You should have won that contest, by the way.
I know. I feel like I should have.
Yeah, hands down.
There's some creative ideas. It's like chicken cordon bleu burger, and it's like, okay, so
That's
a
not a
ground chicken
burger.
burger with exactly.
Oh, do they ground the chicken?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
No.
I know. But so I'm obsessed. I haven't stopped thinking about this pizza oven, and you can use it for things like steaks and vegetables. But all I find myself wanting to do is grill some more pizzas.
I will tell you, that was probably one of the best cooking experiences I've ever had.
Well, there you go.
Because the
Now
oven,
we really do need an outdoor kitchen with a real one. I want a real deal one where you're
maybe
putting
one
in
day.
logs.
One day. Here's why. Like, that thing is an engineering marvel. I swear to you.
Well, those people were didn't you say it started on
I think
Kickstarter
that they
or
started on
something?
Kickstarter. So we're talking about the Uni, which is
Yeah.
like OONUI or something.
Just OONI.
OONI. Check it out. I mean, that thing is amazing.
They're not paying us for this, by the way, people.
I'm telling you.
In fact, I tagged them in my post and they didn't even share it.
Oh,
I know.
golly.
And it was perfection in pizza.
Yeah. Well, our pizza looked like beginner level.
But when I mine didn't. My pepperoni was pro.
I'll tell you what. But that was also the fifth.
It was
pizza.
the last pizza that was
So
made.
by the time you get to the fifth
But
pizza,
also, I did look on what they were sharing, and it was like people making, pizzas in the Himalayan mountains with that. And I was like, okay.
yeah.
Fair
Well, here's
enough.
the amazing thing is that because you can actually cook with a little bit of wood in that thing, which the smell was amazing.
I know.
Like you could be anywhere. Like, I mean, I tell you, if we ever
That's
go
the thing.
camping,
If you go camping or something, yeah.
yeah, or we go to the lake, I want to bring the pizza oven.
I know.
Well, actually, we're going to invite them.
They have to come because
One
it's theirs
requirement:
now.
bring pizza
Come
oven.
to the lake and bring your pizza
Oh,
oven. Yes.
matter of fact, hey guys, 4th of July, bring the pizza oven.
Yeah. Oh, but 4th of July is really a grilling. It's National Grilling Day.
We can make a hamburger pizza.
I made
Oh, speaking of hamburger pizzas.
no, I know this was so now we're getting into budgeting, but I've been grocery shopping lately, and like I said before, paying attention to all of the
prices.
pricing.
Yeah.
And I went to the store.
Getting towards the end of the week.
I know, and our food budget was low, and
How low?
I mean, it was
We're talking under $30, people.
it was $26. And I mean, sometimes when we get low because we've been extortionate and other things, we'll just say like, oh, we'll pay out of our personal accounts or whatever. But I was determined
Yeah.
to make dinner on a budget. So I went to Whole Foods, which was the first misstep.
Your whole paycheck. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I was like, I can do this. And so I was thinking, like, I'm going to get less expensive things, like ground beef. There was a local ground beef that was like $6.99 a pound. Normally, you would just be like, give me a pound. And I went to the counter to get half a pound because I was like, that's all we need for tonight.
Just two of us.
Yeah, exactly. And then
I actually asked you that too.
Yeah, you were like, is this just half a pound?
Because there wasn't left over. There wasn't anything left over in the pan. And so I sat there.
And he loves leftovers.
I love leftovers. And I said, is this a full pound? Because I was actually worried that we had eaten
half
a pound
of meat.
No, that we had eaten a full pound.
Yeah.
That's why I was
meant
concerned.
each. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I was
half a pound each.
Well, like a half a pound burger is huge. You don't want to eat that. Like a quarter pounder is completely normal. But anyway, so I got there. I was making cheeseburger quesadillas. So I had to get, which we will share the recipe online very soon because we're going to make it in office with the dusted seasoning. But I went to the store and it was so funny because I got like one onion's normal, but I got like one tiny Roma tomato. And I'm like weighing these things, like crossing my fingers. And I went to the self-checkout and I put in this Spanish onion and it rang up as organic. And I was like, I don't think I picked up the organic one. And it was like $1 more than I expected it to be, which never in my life. Normally something on my bill could be like $5 more and I'd be like, me. Like I would bring something home that I didn't even mean to buy and it'd be like, you can return it. And I'd be like, meh. Like,
which, by the way, is one of the things that I love and hate about like
me.
Yeah. Because there's a carefree attitude of like, hey, let's get what we want. And the other thing is like, you're like $5 and I'm like, that $5 could buy me a coffee.
I know. Well, I used to be really bad. There would be things I would buy on Amazon and I'd be like, well, I'll just give it to Goodwill instead of returning it for the money. But now things have changed.
I take everything there and I keep the money.
So I literally, this was a challenge I was doing in my own head, but I had to call the woman over and I was so embarrassed, but I was like, I got to do it because the bill was like we had $26 in our account. The bill was like $22 or something, 23. And then this onion came and it was like $1 more than it should have been. And I was like, oh shoot. And so I called her over and I was like, I know this is so silly. I'm like, but the SKU on the onion isn't the organic one. And I think it's less. And so she sure enough, it was 80 cents versus like $1.80 or something. And so she removed the organic onion and gave me the other one for 80 cents. And I was like, did that really just happen? So I looked at her and I was like, oh, sorry. I was like, my husband challenged me to make dinner under $25 tonight or something. And she looked at me and she was like, oh. And I was like...
Like she was giving you a pity party right there.
She felt so bad. Little did she know it was my own challenge. I'm the one.
Wait a second. You totally blamed her on me? Because
I blamed this on you.
That's right, because I didn't challenge you to anything.
You didn't know yet.
I didn't even know until I looked at our account. I was like, wow, I've never seen that before.
I thought, how weird will she think I am if I'm just like, I thought tonight I could do dinner under $25. And so I was just like, yeah, my husband really wanted me to do it. I thought it'd be fun, like, oh, it's like a chopped challenge. And she just looked at me, she was like, you poor soul.
Probably also looking at you like, why are you here at Whole Foods? No, like,
can you change my onion?
Which I will tell you, because we do shop Whole Foods probably 80% of the time. And it's actually not as expensive.
But also,
when you're buying right.
Yes, the produce and stuff is wonderful, first of all. Second of all, it's interesting because like you can buy individual pieces of meat. So if you are just cooking for one or two, then even though it's probably more per piece, you're not having to buy the 6-pack or the 10-pack or whatever's packaged in a normal grocery store.
But here's the thing, even at a normal grocery store, like, and we'll say Publix because that's our big grocery store chain here in Florida. And I do this all the time with like steak and other things from the counter or chicken. If you don't need to buy extra, you can just take that package, walk up and be like, hey, can you repackage this as a half or just 2 pieces of chicken? Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes, you can.
Can you undo your packaging and reweigh it for me and they'll do that?
Yes, they will actually bring it back out, repackaged with the smaller amount.
No.
I swear to you, I do it all the time.
No.
Yeah, like when I go in, because they usually double pack the steaks, and I just want one steak.
Insane.
And I just say, hey, can you repack it? Like, yeah, absolutely.
I never knew this before. In my
Yes,
entire
you
life.
can do that.
Well, that completely debunks my reason for going to. But I will say,
But not
the
every
meat-
grocery store has the
meat-
butcher.
The meat and the produce is so much better at Whole Foods. And the reason we started going there is because we don't need to take a car. We can take the golf cart, which is what we drive around downtown. So if we actually need like a big shop, I mean, for things like when you're buying, when you're buying like Spindrift or we drink sparkling water, when you're buying foods that are packaged goods, processed foods, those things, first of all, are way more expensive than buying fresh produce.
Yes.
It's like a frozen pizza would cost you, if I tried to make a frozen pizza that night, I mean, sure, would it have been $11? Yeah, but I could make a homemade meal for $10 more,
Right.
But anyway.
And now we can make homemade pizza.
I know. And honestly, I saw the other day that these people went out and had a cheeseburger pizza with pickles and everything on it.
Okay, and which was the inspiration for
My cheeseburger quesadillas?
your cheeseburger quesadillas?
No, not the pizza.
Oh, okay.
I just had the idea.
I got it backwards. Okay,
I just wanted to make, but now I kind of want to make a cheeseburger
and you were
pizza.
successful.
I will tell you, the one pizza that I made lately, now this is just becoming a food episode, but was a sliced ribeye pizza with a chimichurri sauce. And it was like covered with roasted tomatoes and arugula. It was so good.
I will tell you, because we filmed this before lunch, my stomach's actually a little hurting. Like
A little hurting?
Yeah.
I
I'm
plan
just
on-
thinking about food.
I plan on picking up lunch today when I go to get our tire fixed because we are being screwed in the
We've
world
gotten screwed
of
the last week, and
cars
we literally
and vehicles.
Yeah, leaving the office yesterday, I literally picked up a screw in the tire.
Yes, we are metaphorically screwed in the automotive space
in the
right
automotive
now.
world, because like we shared last week, we lost a van to some flash flooding.
R.I.P.
I like to say we and not take any direct responsibility for it. What's so funny is that one of our teammates who drives a van on a normal basis, I'm like that parent, and I'm just like, hey, drive safe. Like, I've actually never been like this, but I'm like, hey, drive safely. Like, hey, it's raining outside. Are you doing okay? And I'm sitting here looking at myself going, who are you?
Well, and by the way, everyone listening is probably thinking, that's so nice you care about him. And really, it's the van.
No, don't say that. No, I care.
I'm joking.
I probably care about the van a little more, but
You don't.
I'm just teasing. That was just funny to say.
Nah,
But we lost the van, and we've been going back and forth in insurance. And a couple
Yeah, we told you
things
guys
that-
about the flash flooding, and
Yes.
it ended up being quite the bitch.
And because it's not something that a lot of us do on any type of, I mean, the reality is that you pay for insurance and you hope that nothing happens, right? So the moment that you need insurance, a lot of thoughts go in your mind is, what am I going to get? What am I going to lose? Am my rate's going to go up?
Right.
All these thoughts. And so, big picture, we had a van, and the engine needed to be replaced, and a little bit of water got into the floorboards. But because water
We
got
didn't
into
know
the
that, though.
floorboards,
We didn't know water got into the floorboards.
Yes.
Initially, it was the car flooded, and we're just going to replace the engine.
and we're going to replace the engine.
And it was said that flooding wasn't part of the insurance policy. So it was like, we're screwed. We're just going to have to pay for the new engine. Then people were like, well, you get a deductible, so you might as well
apply and see what happens.
make the claim and see what happens to see if you need anything towards it. Well, in order to even consider, sorry, I couldn't find the word, the claim, they have to come out and examine and inspect the van themselves. So that's when the water was found in the floorboards. And what do they say?
So he said it's a total loss.
He said
And
the
so
car
they're basically
was, they consider it
like
totaled.
the entire vehicle's perfect except a flooded engine and a little bit of water in the
just a little
floorboard.
puddle.
Just a little puddle. It's just a little bit of water.
Seriously.
So they total the
And
car.
meanwhile, Chris is like, I mean, he's the most positive guy in the world. I know I always say this, but it's just like he was getting like hit and hit and hit. They kept calling him, and they were like, van's totaled.
Yeah,
He's
the van's
like,
totaled.
well, I could have paid for the engine. Now I need to go find a $20,000 van.
Yeah. So it went from like a little bit to a
lot
lot
of it.
really quick. And so, you know, one of the things that ended up happening, and then we were sharing this stuff because this is like when you're budgeting and stuff, when we're looking at it, we're like, okay, well, what do we do? What do we do here?
Yeah,
I submitted,
scenarios.
they wanted to give me $9,000 for the van. And I was like, this thing's I bought it with a brand new engine in it. So I was like, hey.
Because they were looking at the mileage,
They were
which
looking
the
at the
mileage
mileage.
showed
Mileage
based off
was
of
high,
the old engine.
But I had a new engine, but I had all the documentation. So they ended up bumping it up about another $1,500, which was really nice. But they're still going to give me, let's say, $10,000 for the van. And so so the option is, I take 10,000, and then we go
get a new
and we go look for
vehicle.
another in. But
Yeah.
I don't get 10,000 because I have a $2,000 deductible, so I get $8,000.
Right.
So then all this weird, crazy magic happens, and so they're like, okay, well,
He's like, what if I want to keep it?
well, and you know what? I asked the question. Actually, a family friend, actually is the one that said to me. They said, one, file your claim. They don't care about collision. It's only about injury. Like, so nothing's going to happen. They'll pay the collateral claims all day long. So he's like, try to buy the vehicle back, is what he told me. And I was like,
You're like,
okay.
is that a
I was like, is that a thing?
Can you do that?
Can you do that?
I know.
I feel like I'm repeating every word you say it, then I say it. Can you do that?
Can you do that?
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
So what ends up happening is,
Can you believe it?
Can you believe it?
That was the comment. If you're not listening to somebody,
Yeah.
what you say.
So what they ended up doing, they said, hey, okay, so we're going to give you $9,000 for the van, but you have a $2,000 deductible, so we're only going to give you $7,000. So you can take $7,000 and the van goes away, or you can buy back the van from us and we'll give you $5,000. So they're going to give me for the van, or I can buy the van back for $2,000.
Right. It's so weird. It's like it's totaled.
But it's not totaled.
We were going to tow it away, but it's actually in good condition. And should you choose to want to keep the van, then we'll still cover you for insurance, but it's going to be less.
So now,
but that allows for us to fix it.
I get $5,000 in the van.
So it pays for the engine.
And I pay
so we get
for
a brand
new engine.
Get a brand new engine. He keeps the car. Now, is he driving a van that's titled as a
Salvage repair, Chris drove into water title?
maybe? That may be
Do
the
I
case.
care? You know?
No. Well, and you look at it and go, oh, that might impact the resale value. It's like, well,
We're going to drive this van into the ground.
We're not selling it. We already almost did. So, like, you know, it's like
I
if
look
we're
at it-
legal on the road right now, like, please just give us our van back.
As long as it has a tag, insurance, and 4 wheels with no screws, then I'm pretty good with it. So.
I know.
Anyway, so that's where we're at. So we're
Well, and it's
literally
been
expecting
crazy
van
in the
back
meantime
week and a
because
half.
we've been driving. I mean, gas is expensive, one,
Yeah.
and the nice thing about this is it's a different business entity, but it's actually brilliant. It's to deliver temporary air conditioning units. Yes,
Yeah.
it's called StayCoolTonight.com. I'll plug us. And if people in Florida, when it's hot as balls in the summer, have their AC go down, these AC companies will actually
They pay us
they
to
pay
put in some
us
temp
to-
air to
for
get you
their
through a couple
clients.
days before you
Yes,
get your
yes.
stuff done.
So anyway, what's happened is we've got an amazing person that works for the company that goes and does a lot of these installations and deliveries, and we've been making do with other vehicles in the meantime. They
Yep.
can't fit as many units, but so it's a lot of back and forth
a lot
to
of
the
back
office.
and forth. We don't have a rolling warehouse at the moment, so
Yeah.
we're just we're going to get through. But it's one of those things where, you know, we've talked about emergency funds in the past. We've talked about how you get through it, and I think everything kind of revolves around putting together a plan and just looking at the options, talking out loud, and then kind of making a decision how we're going to move forward.
Yeah. I mean, on Father's Day, like he did get to make his pizza, but then he was gone for 5 hours doing
Installs, yeah,
installs
which
himself.
is really crazy. So because we didn't turn the system off, and orders came in, and I'm
It's
faced.
just life.
It's like one of those things. Like you could make a movie of this because I could be sitting there and the orders come in, and it's like I could just push the cancel button and enjoy my day. But then I thought about those people out there sweating.
I know.
and
You were
dying
so
on
nice.
Father's Day.
And by the way, like you
one of them
are.
ended up being pregnant. And
Oh wow. You are a good person because you can relate. It's like when you're hot, you're so not like hot in a bathing suit outside on a boat or a lake, but if you're like indoors and you're sweating.
I'm like hangry, but not hungry, just hot.
Whatever. I'm not, I almost said like you're like hotry.
I'm hotry. What is hotry? That sounds like a photo shoot. Hey, what are you doing? I'm headed to my hotry.
What?
It's like a
Hotry debauchery.
yeah. Whoa, where are you going?
I don't know. I don't know where your mind
We
is.
watch too much of these reality TV shows, I think.
I know. It's bad.
You know what's so funny?
makes us feel
It's like
better
there's
about
no,
our
they
own
don't
life.
wear clothes. They're all in bathing suits and
No, and it was hilarious. We're talking about Perfect Match, which was this new show on Netflix or whatever. But the other day, the other girls walked in, and one of the girls from the villa was like, "Why are they all walking in bikinis?" It's like, bitch, that's what you walked in 4 days ago.
yeah, it is because they want to win.
Yeah, because they're here to take your man.
You in trouble. That's
We
hilarious.
really should not be able to talk about these. Oh my gosh. I was going to say these reality TV shows. I'm laughing because we went out to dinner last night with a really good friend couple of ours. In fact, the one guy's helping fix the van. He owns his own mechanic shop. But we went out to dinner with them, and the wife watches some of the same shows as us. And the three of us are sitting there
talking.
going
Yeah.
on and on about like all these people. And Jim's like, who? He's like, who are these people? He's like, are they our friends? He's like, feels like he's going
Like we're
crazy.
talking about people that we all know.
Because he's like, we know so much. He's like, where have
Who's getting married?
How have I missed this
Who's having a
entire
baby?
group of people that
I
I don't
know.
know? And I was joking with him because I always say to you, for all these people I follow online, I'm like, yeah, we're friends. We're really
Yeah.
good friends. I know what's happening.
It was
next
so
weekend.
funny, and I had to sit there for a second. I'm like, I got to be careful. Jim might pull my man card. Like,
Now that because you were admitting you watched
because I
all
watch these
shows.
shows with you.
I know.
So.
It's funny. But anyway, so last night before we went to dinner was when we got in the truck and we realized there was a screw in the tire. And it's one of those things where it's like when the world's got you down and you continue to stay like in a great mood, it's like the tiniest little thing.
It's like
you know,
you're getting tested
yeah,
over
you,
and over
you slip
and
on a
over
puddle
again.
or something,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, this was the straw that broke the. I felt like the screw last night really was the straw for a moment in time. You're just
I
like,
was just
what
like, can
else?
we have any more little things that happen?
Well, and that's, all of this is going on, and normally I'd be like, oh, should we pull from our account? And I was like, no, this is a week where we really need to budget groceries. Like, we'll eat ramen if we have to.
Yeah. And ended up paying for dinner out of my personal account, because we wanted to go out and enjoy our time. And that's how it's supposed to work,
Yeah.
Because or were you going to say something?
No, go ahead.
I was going to say we had some...
I
that was
got you.
funny.
Okay, go ahead.
You made me laugh.
Crap.
I was thinking we had
Now you
ice
lost
cream.
your train
We
of
don't
thought.
actually go out for ice cream very often after eating or getting
Oh
dessert
my
at
God, I
all.
was so full. I had like 2 bites. Speaking of budgeting, I should not have gotten that ice cream.
Yeah.
It was a really unnecessary purchase. I
Well,
threw it
you
away.
took my card, so it was like, and then you threw half it away. I actually didn't even think about it till now. When it's our money, I never care if you throw it away. But now that was my money.
All of a sudden you're upset. Maybe I shouldn't have brought it to your attention.
But what's funny is this weekend we had bought a bunch of these really cheap, inexpensive ice cream bars.
Oh, for the kids. We had a bunch
for
of
the
kids and families come
and
visit
there
us
was a
at the
bunch
lake.
left over, and I was taking some medicine. I got some lake water in my nose, and I was really congested and everything. And
Lake water? No. You stepped on a ground
oh
wasp.
my gosh, I
can't believe we
this
forgot
is
to
actually.
mention.
I know. I knew something had happened this weekend. I had
We
a really
always
tough
talk about
Saturday.
things to discuss. Speaking, you guys, Chris, when I say like it continues to be like one thing after another, I forgot about that.
Yeah. So I was walking through the grass.
Oh my gosh.
And I felt a prick on my toe, and I thought I was. At
He
first,
goes,
I thought
my
it
nose
was
was
a piece
stuffy.
of.
He was having an anaphylactic reaction.
I had gotten stung by a ground wasp.
Yeah.
And my foot swelled up twice the size, and it was hard to walk on. But I had stuff to do, so I kept going and going and going.
And he's like cleaning the boat. We have these little lake flies. You have to get them off the boat. We were going to go take a ride. And there I am. He like.
And I'm just angry. I mean, when you're in
He's
pain,
angry.
like I could just get angry at the world.
So literally, this is kind of hilarious. So it wasn't at the time, but I'm like coming out. I've got the cooler, I've got towels, I've got all this stuff in my hand, and he's like, "Let's go!" Like on the boat, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
I was just so. Yeah.
And so we got out so I'm driving the boat. He's like, I just got stung by a wasp. And meanwhile, his foot is like swelling up.
Then I raise it up and you're like, oh my God.
It was like 4 times the size of what it should have been. And so he's like, just drive out to the middle of the lake and we'll get these lake flies,
the flies off the boat.
So he's like splashing the flies with this bucket of water so angrily. It's not even funny. And out of nowhere, he strips off his shirt and just shows
I just jumped in the lake because
jumps off the boat. At first, it was like he knew he just needed to
I knew I was being
out of it.
I was kind of being probably a jerk. Like I knew that because I was hurting so bad that I was.
I'm so
being
glad
a little
this is
probably
recorded.
on the mean.
This might be
on the mean
this
side.
might be the only.
And it
time
wasn't like I was
ever
saying anything
admitted.
to you mean or treating.
No,
it's just that I was angry and just
you were in
I was
pain.
in pain and upset,
Yeah.
and so I realized I needed to cool off. So I just threw everything down and jumped into the water.
And I'm just in the boat, like I guess I'll just keep cleaning.
And the bad part is like when the boat's off and then I kick away, I end up way far away from the boat, and I'm like, shit, I should have just like, I should have dove out. I should have just jumped in because now I had to swim back.
It was a whole moment.
It was
really
a moment,
was.
but I cooled off.
It's probably the best dive you've had since the diving board in 10th grade.
Probably.
That was funny.
I wish I would have had that on film because I could laugh at myself all day over that.
It's so funny because you like want these memories back because you can laugh about it later. But if I took a camera out in the moment, you'd be like, "What are you doing?"
Well, so what ends up happening is that later in the day, my foot's swollen. I can barely walk on it. I'm stuffy.
No,
and
he's
so
like
we have a friend
hobbling.
who's like, "Hey, would you like some Benadryl?" And I'm like, I typically
that
don't
was so
take
funny.
pills." And
She
so,
empties this bottle. I went over to get the pills from our neighbor.
He's listening too. He's one of our biggest fans.
It's hilarious.
So this is hilarious. So that we get
Our
all these
neighbor gave
pills.
us Benadryl. They said they
Yes.
had Benadryl. And she emptied the bottle to give me some. And it's like 20 different colored pills coming out of this bottle.
It's like easier to travel with.
Yes. And I was like, are you sure that...
So we had looked it up because
Chris did. I came back and thought it was funny. I know Benadryl.
She thought it was
pink.
funny. I looked at it and I was like, I gotta look it up. I mentally can't do it unless I know for a fact that this is Benadryl.
So he took it. But he said he was stuffy. This is where it all began. And
So
circling back.
I can't swallow things very well. And so we had these ice cream sandwiches. And so what was funny, and you're going to hear this probably for the first time, that we had 2 pills and she's like, no, just take one. And I'm like, okay. So I ate the first ice cream sandwich with the pill. And I wanted to take both the pills because I only wanted to eat one ice cream sandwich because then it makes me feel like I'm just swallowing the ice cream. And,
Oh my gosh,
and I maybe I'll
okay.
do that. And then a little bit later, you're like, hey, how are you feeling? And I was like, oh, I'm better. I really want to take the other pill. And you're like, yeah, go ahead and take it. And that's when I got the second ice cream sandwich out. Because I was like,
You
what a
know
great
what?
experience.
I'm not gonna lie.
Eating my medicine with ice cream was amazing.
I do know that you had 2 ice cream sandwiches that night. I thought, this is not the night to be like, babe, watch what you're eating. Like,
No, because I was still getting over the soreness. Of
he was not over the ground wasp. But
Yeah.
thank goodness the next day he felt fine because that was Father's Day. So it was quite the weekend.
It was quite the weekend.
Yes, it was. But when we got ice cream last night, one of the nice things was that we walked around town. We just got to see the ice cream last night is what drove us to the whole entire Wasp conversation. So
Yes,
thank goodness we
yeah.
reminded. But we just walked around town and we like listened to live music on the street, and it reminded me that 1, I really enjoyed it, and 2, it's like you can do so many different activities for free. You can go have a picnic in a park. You can, throw a frisbee outside. Like we obviously have the lake, but if you were to do something local in town, it's like just going for a walk at night to keep yourself busy versus going into an establishment is just as enjoyable.
I don't think that people technically picnic anymore, but one of the things that it's like
What
picnicking.
are you talking about?
Well, I'm saying like red checkered thing with a basket full of food.
You mean there's just not, it's just what, in your mind, the quintessential picnic ensemble?
Yeah. In my mind, that's a
because
picnic.
if you go to the
we
South
bring
Beach
a cooler,
Park.
Yeah, I was thinking if you go to the beach, right, it's technically you're picnicking. Like, I think all these things classify as picnicking.
But we live in Florida.
It's still picnicking.
Yeah.
It's just that you're picnicking at the beach, you're picnicking at the park.
Yeah,
and
you bring coolers these
you bring
days
coolers
because
versus
they
baskets.
exist.
I know. But anyway,
They
I
used
was
to have
I
in
was
the
just-
baskets the
I was
little
just kind of
silverware
reinforcing what you're
slots.
saying, which is
Yeah, it's
there's a
nice
lot
to
of
get
great,
outside.
easy things to do to go outside and just enjoy things on a budget.
I know,
So
and have coolers. But I'm excited. Your sister's actually coming to the lake this weekend.
Yes.
And it'll be nice. And she was texting. She was like, "Do you want me to bring some food for Friday night?" And I was like, "Yes, we do."
yes, we do.
Normally, I'm like, "No, it's
We got
fine.
everything.
We'll
Now we're like,
host."
yes.
But she offered, and I was like, "That
BYOB.
would be amazing."
Yeah. Well, you know what? We've, this has been a new experience for us because we've adjusted our budgets. And one of the
so
things we
cool.
figured out
Yeah.
was we've actually never experienced this before because we've always put equal amounts of money into our budget.
Right. And with me not working and making any money right now, we have prorated it a little bit
Right,
different.
we've prorated
Not
it,
prorated.
and what
Is
we
that the
figured
right
out,
term?
yeah, it's prorated, and so what ends up happening, and we never really realized this before, is that on weeks that I get paid,
it's only been a couple
food, but
weeks.
that's what I'm saying. That's what
Yeah.
we've only been.
So it was a
we,
revelation.
we started preparing for this in advance,
Yes.
so the last 2 times has been a lower amounts. Which means that we got
I'm putting in the
increased-
lower amount. So how we used to get paid is each of us were biweekly, but we were on opposing weeks, which we've discussed before. So
Yes.
every single Friday, more money goes into the accounts. We budget
Yes.
based off of a weekly budget versus
And
a
they were the
biweekly
exact same.
or a monthly. And it's always been identical. But now, because I'm POA,
now because
now
she's
I'm
Paula.
putting in less money. I'm pulling from savings, but I am pulling less than what you're putting in. And what we realized is that our food budget's going up and then it's way down and then it's up. So you're trying to create a budget on a weekly basis, but you can't get into the hang
But you don't have
of-
weekly income, and
Right.
so we have 1 week with a lot of money, the second week with a lot of lower money.
with a lot of no money.
And before in my mind when we kind of created the software and did it was like, oh, you just budget, you just spend less than 1 week, but our mentality is always like, this is a zero sum account. You can spend it to zero. And if we follow that, what that means is that 1 week you're eating like a king, and the next week you're
Not.
You're not. So I'm actually making the change. And
what we
we're
thought
gonna
is
update
we
the
can be
software
even
to
lower
allow
in
it.
other accounts, but be equivalent in food because that is
Correct.
something where you're living your day to day life. It's like if you go to the grocery store and you're trying to learn, like, okay, I can now spend this much on groceries.
Yeah, if you're $100 a week,
right?
then
You
be
need to know you're
$100
$100 a week. Yeah.
and make sure that that money's coming in. And so, anyways, we figured that out, and figuring out exactly how to modify the software to
all
allow
work.
that
Yes.
and do that. So, just these experiences that we go through and share, it allows us to just make the experience
I'm going to be making
better.
money soon, though. We're going to be raking in the dough. I feel it.
The dough.
And on that note, go make some pizza.
On that note, let's go make some pizzas.
Yes.
All right. Well, hey, thanks everyone for joining us. Feel free to send us your comments, any questions that you have, anything that you'd like to hear about. We love sitting and talking and what?
I thought you said shitting.
Hey, we like to shit and talk over here. No, we like to sit and
does.
talk. Sorry, I was stuttering at the beginning. I told you.
It's been a long week.
It's been a long week.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you
everyone.
next
We'll see you
week.
next week.